Marcus Thompson dropped his mop and walked straight toward the $90 million yacht's bridge. "Security!" Priscilla screamed. "Stop him right now!" But no one moved, because the deckhand, the invisible man who had scrubbed their toilets for 3 years, was climbing into the captain's chair like he owned it. Vanessa Sterling's mocking smile froze on her face. She had just told him to captain her yacht as a joke. A cruel, thoughtless joke to humiliate him in front of everyone. She didn't know that Marcus Thompson had once been Lieutenant Commander Marcus Thompson. She didn't know about the rescue missions, the medals, the drowning that killed his ensign, the wife he buried 2 years later, and she had no idea that in 12 hours she would be crying in the passenger lounge, not from fear, but from shame. Comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels. The coffee hit Marcus Thompson square in the chest. Hot. Black. Spreading through his white crew uniform like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. He didn't flinch. Didn't move. Just stood there with the mop in his hand, watching the brown liquid drip down his shirt onto the deck he'd spent the last hour cleaning. Priscilla Davenport didn't even look up from her phone. "You missed a spot," she said. "And get someone to clean this up. I need another coffee." Marcus stared at the back of her head. 3 years. Over 1,000 days of being invisible. Of being nothing. "Yes, ma'am." He bent down, started mopping again. The same deck. The same stain. The same silence that followed him everywhere on this vessel. The Aurora Majesty occupied the most exclusive berth at Chicago's lakefront marina. A $90 million superyacht owned by Sterling Maritime Luxury. Private charters for billionaires. Exclusive cruises for celebrities. A floating palace that cost more than most neighborhoods combined. Marcus knew every inch of her, every corridor, every bathroom, every stateroom where deals worth millions were signed while he emptied trash cans 3 feet away. Nobody saw him. That was the agreement he'd made with himself when he took this job. Stay invisible. Stay quiet. Cash the check. Go home to Isaiah. His son was the only thing that mattered now. Again. Marcus looked up. Tom Morrison stood in the doorway of the supply closet, arms crossed, watching him change his shirt. "It's fine, Tom. That's the 4th time this month." "Priscilla, I said it's fine." Tom leaned against the doorframe. 64 years old. Hands like leather from 40 years working on vessels. Eyes that had seen everything. "You know," Tom said slowly, "I've worked with captains my whole life, real ones. I know what they look like, how they move, how they carry themselves." Marcus's hands stopped on the buttons of his fresh uniform. "You walk like a captain, Marcus. You look at this yacht like a captain. Hell, I've seen you watching her leave the harbor like a man watching his first love sail away." "I'm a deckhand." "No." Tom pushed off the doorframe. "You're a deckhand now, but that's not what you are." Marcus finished buttoning his shirt, picked up his mop. "My shift ends at 6. Isaiah's waiting." He walked past Tom without another word. The apartment was small, 2 bedrooms, thin walls, a kitchen that barely fit 2 people standing. But it was home. Isaiah Thompson was 7 years old. He had his mother's eyes and his father's stubborn chin. When Marcus walked through the door, the boy launched himself at his father's legs like a missile. "Dad? Dad, we learned about boats today." Marcus lifted him up, held him close, let the weight of the day fall away for just a moment. "Yeah. Mrs. Patterson showed us pictures, big ones. She said ship captains are heroes." Isaiah's face grew serious. "Were you ever a captain, Dad?" The question hit Marcus like a bullet. "Why would you ask that?" "Because you always look at the water. Mom used to say—" He stopped. "What did Mom say?" The boy fidgeted in his arms. "She said you used to sail, before I was born, before everything got sad." Marcus set his son down, knelt to eye level. "That was a long time ago, buddy. A different life." "But you could captain a ship again, right, if you wanted to?" Marcus looked at his son, 7 years old. Everything ahead of him, everything to lose. Some doors close for good reasons, Isaiah. Now come on, let's make spaghetti. Isaiah's face lit up, the questions forgotten for now. But as Marcus stood at the stove stirring sauce, his hands gripped the wooden spoon like it was a ship's wheel. And in his mind, he was sailing. Always sailing into waters he would never touch again. The nightmare came at 3 a.m. The same nightmare. Always the same. Devon's face. 23 years old. Terrified. What do we do? Commander. What do we do? The alarm screaming. The waves crashing. The water swallowing everything. Man overboard. Man overboard. Marcus sat bolt upright in bed. Sweat soaking through his shirt. Heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. He looked at the clock. 3 hours until his shift. He didn't go back to sleep. He never went back to sleep. The call came at 5 a.m. Marcus was already on the Aurora Majesty mopping the main deck corridor when the chaos erupted. Vanessa Sterling burst through the gangway like a hurricane made flesh. 43 years old, navy blazer. Phone pressed to her ear. 2 assistants scrambling behind her. What do you mean unconscious when how bad? Her voice cracked. Marcus had never heard that before. I'm coming. I don't care about the weather warnings. I'm coming. She ended the call, threw the phone to Priscilla. Get me a captain, now. I need to be in Nassau in 12 hours. Priscilla's fingers flew across her tablet. Captain Reynolds is in Monaco. Henderson is in Miami on another charter. Martinez is on medical leave. I don't want excuses. I want a captain. Ma'am, there's a Category 2 hurricane tracking toward the Bahamas. Most captains are refusing the crossing. My mother is dying. The words cut through the marina like a blade. Vanessa's composure shattered. Right there. In front of everyone. She's in surgery right now. If I don't get there... Her voice broke. She turned away, pressed her hand against her mouth. Marcus watched from the corridor. Mop still in his hands, water still dripping. Priscilla made call after call, each one ending the same way. Unavailable. Booked. Can't make the crossing today. Sorry, the weather's too dangerous. Vanessa's hands were shaking. There has to be someone. Anyone. Priscilla looked at her tablet, then at Vanessa, her face pale. Ma'am, there's no one. Every qualified captain within 500 miles is either committed or refusing the voyage. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. Final. Marcus should have kept mopping. Should have stayed invisible. Should have remembered the promise he'd made to himself 5 years ago. But his mouth opened before his brain could stop it. I can get you there. The words hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Priscilla turned first, her face twisted with disbelief. Excuse me. I can get you there. Marcus stepped forward, set down the mop. The Aurora Majesty. I can captain her to Nassau. Priscilla laughed. Sharp. Ugly. The kind of laugh designed to wound. The Deckhand. She turned to the other crew members. The Deckhand wants to captain a $90 million yacht. Rachel, a young stewardess, covered her mouth. Her shoulders shook with barely suppressed laughter. But Vanessa didn't laugh. She walked toward Marcus slowly, heels clicking against the deck like a countdown. What did you say? I said I can get you there, ma'am. I have the hours. I have the certification. I can navigate us through. Vanessa stopped 3 feet away. Her eyes scanned him head to toe. The white crew uniform. The worn shoes. The mop still dripping beside him. The calloused hands of a man who scrubbed toilets for a living. What's your name? Marcus Thompson. Marcus Thompson. She repeated it slowly, testing it, tasting it. And where exactly did you learn to captain a vessel like this? United States Coast Guard, ma'am. 15 years. Lieutenant Commander. The laughter stopped. Priscilla's smile froze. Rachel straightened up. The entire deck went silent. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Lieutenant Commander? Yes, ma'am. You're telling me a former Coast Guard officer is mopping decks on my yacht? Yes, ma'am. Why? Marcus didn't answer, couldn't answer. The truth was too heavy, too raw, too soaked in salt water and screaming in a body he couldn't pull from the waves. Vanessa studied his face, looking for the lie, looking for the joke. She found neither. Let me make you an offer, Marcus Thompson. She stepped closer, close enough that he could smell her perfume. Expensive, sharp, like everything about her. Captain this yacht to Nassau. Get me there safely. She paused. The corner of her mouth curved into something cruel. And I'll marry you. Priscilla exploded with laughter. Rachel doubled over. Even the security officer at the gangway cracked a smile. The joke spread through the marina like wildfire. The deckhand and the CEO. The mop pusher proposing to the billionaire heiress. Marcus stood perfectly still. The humiliation burned through his chest. The familiar heat of being dismissed, of being nothing, of being invisible even when standing right in front of someone. Vanessa's smile widened. Cold. Triumphant. Well, what do you say, Captain? She said the word captain like it was a curse, like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. Marcus felt something shift inside him. Something he'd buried 5 years ago. Something he'd locked away after the rescue. After the funeral. After the second funeral. Devon's voice echoed in his mind. What do we do, Commander? What do we do? And for the first time in 5 years, Marcus had an answer. I say we stop wasting time. He met Vanessa's eyes, held them. Your mother's waiting. The laughter died. Marcus turned and walked toward the bridge. Behind him, Priscilla's voice rose to a shriek. Security! Someone stop him! He's delusional! But Tom Morrison stepped in front of the security officer. Blocked his path. Let him go. Tom, he's a deckhand. I know exactly what he is. Tom's voice was steady, certain. And I'm telling you, let him go. Vanessa watched the exchange, her face unreadable. Ma'am, Priscilla pleaded, you can't seriously... Get my bag. What? My overnight bag. Get it? Now. Priscilla's jaw dropped. You're not actually going to... That's an order. Vanessa walked toward the bridge, her heels clicking against the deck. The Aurora Majesty waited, white and silver, $90 million of precision engineering gleaming in the early morning light. Marcus climbed the stairs to the bridge. His legs felt strange, heavy, like walking through water. 5 years. 5 years since he'd touched a helm. 5 years since Devon. He pushed the thought away, forced himself forward. The bridge door was open. The captain's chair waited. Leather, pristine, exactly like 1,000 helms he'd commanded before. Marcus lowered himself into the seat. His hands trembled. Then they stopped. Muscle memory took over. His fingers found the master switch, the navigation systems, the engine controls, each movement precise, automatic, like riding a bicycle, like breathing. The instruments came alive. Lights blinked on. Gauges stabilized. Marcus heard footsteps behind him. Vanessa appeared in the bridge doorway, her face pale, her eyes wide. You actually know what you're doing. It wasn't a question. Yes, ma'am. She moved to the passenger seating behind the helm, sat down. The seatbelt clicked. If you sink my yacht, she said, I'll sue you for 3 lifetimes. Understood. Marcus reached for the radio. His voice came out different, formal, professional. The voice of a man who used to command the sea. Chicago Marina, this is Aurora Majesty requesting immediate departure clearance. Destination, Nassau, Bahamas. Priority medical. Silence on the radio. Then, Aurora Majesty say again. Captain identification. Marcus paused. For 5 years, he had been nobody. A ghost. A shadow mopping decks on a yacht full of people who never saw him. But not today. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Thompson. Coast Guard retired. Master Mariner Certification Alpha. Charlie 4471. Another pause. Aurora Majesty standby. Marcus waited. His hands rested on the throttle. Behind him, Vanessa watched through the glass. He could feel her eyes on his back. The radio crackled. Aurora Majesty, you are cleared for departure. Be advised, NOAA is reporting deteriorating conditions along your route. Hurricane Catherine tracking northeast. Recommend extreme caution. Marcus keyed the mic. Roger, Chicago. Aurora Majesty departing. He engaged the engines. The yacht hummed to life. Priscilla stood on the dock, phone in hand, mouth open. Tom Morrison watched from the gangway, arms crossed, a small smile on his weathered face. The yacht began to move, slowly at first, then faster. The marina fell away behind them. The open water waited ahead. And for the first time in 5 years, Marcus Thompson was sailing. Lake Michigan stretched out before them, gray and vast. The Chicago skyline shrank to toys. The harbor lights faded to pinpricks. Marcus set the initial heading, checked the instruments. Everything was perfect. His hands weren't shaking anymore. His breathing was steady. His mind was clear. This was where he belonged. He had forgotten. Or maybe he had forced himself to forget. Captain Thompson. Vanessa's voice came from behind him. She had unbuckled, moved to the bridge doorway. Marcus didn't turn around. You should stay seated, ma'am. We might hit rough water. I've been on 100 voyages. I'll risk it. She stepped onto the bridge, stood beside the first officer's chair, but didn't sit. How long were you in the Coast Guard? 15 years. Rescue operations? 8 years at Cape Hatteras. Before that, Gulf of Mexico. Hurricane response mostly. Silence. Marcus felt her studying him, reassessing everything she thought she knew. Why did you stop? The question cut deep, deeper than she could know. Marcus's jaw tightened. Things change. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Vanessa was quiet for a moment. Then she sat in the first officer's chair, carefully, like she was handling something fragile. My father was a captain. Marcus glanced at her. First time. He commanded vessels for 40 years, started as a deck officer on cargo ships, worked his way up to admiral in the Naval Reserve, built this company when he retired. She paused. He handed it to me 5 years ago. We haven't spoken since. Why not? Because I changed things, modernized, made decisions he didn't agree with. Her voice hardened. He called me ungrateful, said I was destroying his legacy. Were you? Vanessa turned to him, surprised by the directness. No, I was saving it. Marcus nodded, said nothing. He'll be there. My father, at the hospital. Vanessa's voice dropped. First time I'll see him in 5 years, and it'll be because my mother might die. She won't. You don't know that. No. Marcus checked the navigation display. But I know somethings about waiting too long to see someone. And I know the universe sometimes gives us chances we don't deserve. Vanessa stared at him. That's a strange thing for a deckhand to say. I'm not a deckhand right now. No. Her voice softened. I suppose you're not. They sailed in silence for an hour. The waters of Lake Michigan gave way to the river system, the locks that would take them toward the Gulf. Marcus checked the weather reports. Hurricane Catherine was tracking northeast. They might have a window, maybe. Tell me something, Captain Thompson. What? The truth. Why is a man with your skills scrubbing toilets on my yacht? Marcus's hands tightened on the wheel. The memory came without warning. Devon's face. Young. Terrified. What do we do? Commander. What do we do? The alarm screaming. The waves crashing. The body disappearing beneath the black water. Man overboard. Man overboard. Captain. Marcus blinked. The bridge snapped back into focus. I lost someone. The words came out rough, scraped from somewhere deep. An ensign. Devon Carter, 23 years old. First deployment under my command. Eager. Talented. Reminded me of myself at that age. Vanessa didn't speak. Just listened. We were running a night rescue operation. Fishing vessel taking on water in a storm off Cape Hatteras. Standard stuff. We'd done it 100 times. Marcus's voice flattened. Mechanical. The only way he could tell it. Devon was our rescue swimmer. Best I'd ever seen. I gave the order to deploy. He went into the water. He paused. A rogue wave hit the fishing vessel. Debris everywhere. The line tangled. By the time we got to him, Marcus stopped. What happened? He drowned. 30 feet from the boat. I watched it happen. The bridge felt smaller. The air thinner. The investigation cleared me. Equipment failure. Weather conditions. Nothing I could have done differently. They offered me my command back. Promotion. Commendations. Everything. But you didn't take it. How could I? Marcus's voice cracked. First time. Every time I looked at the water, I saw his face. Every time I touched the helm, I heard him asking me what to do. Like I had the answer. Like I could save him. He shook his head. I couldn't sail anymore, so I stopped. Vanessa processed this. Her face had changed. The coldness was gone. And your wife. The crew mentioned you're a single father. The familiar knife twisted in Marcus's chest. Keisha. Just her name hurt to say. We met in college. She was a teacher, 3rd grade. Loved kids more than anything. What happened to her? Cancer. 3 years ago. Started in her lungs. Spread everywhere. Marcus's voice was flat. Empty. I was still in the Coast Guard when she was diagnosed. Took leave to be with her. Held her hand for 6 months while she faded away. I'm sorry. Yeah. Marcus stared at the horizon. Me too. So, you lost your ensign, then your wife, and then I had a son to raise alone, on a deckhand salary, because I couldn't get back on the water. Vanessa leaned back in the chair, let out a long breath. And I made a joke about marrying you. It was funny. It wasn't. Her voice was tight. It was cruel, and I'm sorry. Marcus looked at her, really looked. For the first time, he saw past the CEO, past the cold exterior, past the woman who had humiliated him in front of everyone. He saw a daughter rushing to her dying mother, a woman estranged from her father, someone carrying her own weight, her own grief, her own loneliness. Apology accepted. The hours passed. They moved through the river systems, past Memphis, past New Orleans, toward the open Gulf. Marcus barely slept. Checked the weather constantly. Adjusted their route 3 times as Hurricane Catherine shifted. Vanessa stayed on the bridge more than she needed to. Brought him coffee. Asked questions about navigation, about the Coast Guard, about Isaiah. He sounds wonderful, she said, looking at the photo Marcus kept in his wallet. Your son. He's everything. Does he know about your past? Marcus shook his head. He knows I work on boats. That's it. Why haven't you told him? Because if he knew, he'd want me to do it again. He'd want his dad to be a captain, and I wasn't ready to explain why I couldn't. Vanessa was quiet for a moment. Maybe it's time to show him instead of explaining. Marcus looked at her. What do you mean? I mean you're captaining a $90 million yacht through hurricane conditions to save a stranger's life. That's not nothing, Marcus. That's everything. Before he could respond, the radio crackled. Aurora Majesty, this is Coast Guard Station Key West. Be advised, Hurricane Catherine has accelerated. Current position 200 miles east of your route. Conditions deteriorating rapidly. Recommend immediate course change or return to port. Marcus grabbed the mic. Coast Guard Key West, this is Aurora Majesty. We have a medical emergency. Patient critical in Nassau, requesting updated weather window. Static. Then, Aurora Majesty were showing a narrow window, approximately 6 hours before outer bands reach your position. Recommend maximum speed if you're continuing. Marcus looked at Vanessa. Your call. She didn't hesitate. My mother's waiting. Marcus keyed the mic. Coast Guard Key West, Aurora Majesty, continuing to Nassau. Request you monitor our position. Roger, Aurora Majesty, Godspeed. Marcus pushed the throttles forward. The engines roared. The Aurora Majesty surged through the darkening waters, and somewhere ahead, the storm was waiting. The first bands hit 6 hours later. They had just cleared the Florida Straits when the sky turned black. Marcus had been through hurricanes before, more than he could count. But sitting in the captain's chair again, feeling the yacht pitch beneath him, hearing the wind scream against the hull, it all came back. What do we do? Commander Marcus. Vanessa's voice, tight, scared. I need you to go below, Marcus said. Strap in. It's going to get rough. I'm not leaving you alone up here. I've done this before. So have I. My father took me through a storm when I was 16. I know what this is. Marcus wanted to argue. Didn't have time. A wave hit the bow. The yacht lurched. Alarms started screaming. Then hold on. The next 4 hours were the longest of Marcus's life. 40-foot swells, zero visibility, wind gusting to 60 knots. The Aurora Majesty was built for this. State-of-the-art stabilizers, reinforced hull, the best navigation equipment money could buy. But none of that mattered if the captain couldn't hold her together. Marcus fought the wheel. Every wave was a battle. Every gust tried to push them off course. The navigation system flickered. He switched to manual. Navigating by instinct, by feel. By years of training, he thought he'd forgotten. What do we do? Commander Devon's voice. But different now. Not panicked. Calm. Curious. We sail through it, Marcus said out loud. That's what we do. Vanessa heard him. Didn't ask who he was talking to. How much longer? Marcus checked their position. They were close. So close. 2 hours. Maybe less if the wind shifts. Another wave hit. The yacht rolled hard to starboard. Something crashed below deck. Vanessa gripped the armrests, her knuckles white. Can we make it? Marcus looked at her. This woman who had mocked him, who had offered him a chance, who was trusting him with her life. Yes. He turned back to the wheel. We're going to make it. The lights of Nassau appeared through the rain like ghosts. Marcus could barely see them, could barely feel his arms, but they were there, real, waiting. I see it, Vanessa whispered. Marcus, I see it. Harbor Control, this is Aurora Majesty requesting emergency docking. Medical situation. Repeat, medical situation. The radio crackled. Aurora Majesty, we have you on radar. You're cleared for Pier 7. Medical transport standing by. That was one hell of a crossing, Captain. Marcus didn't respond. Couldn't. He guided the yacht through the channel, past the breakwater, into the calm of the harbor. The contrast was immediate. The wind died. The waves flattened. The world stopped trying to kill them. Marcus brought the Aurora Majesty alongside Pier 7. The hull touched the dock. Perfect. Soft as a whisper. Not a scratch. He shut down the engines. For a moment, he just sat there, hands still on the wheel, breathing hard, alive. Behind him, Vanessa was crying. She stood, walked to his chair, put her hand on his shoulder. "That wasn't sailing," she said. "That was a miracle." Marcus turned to look at her. "It was physics, that's all." "No." Vanessa's voice broke. "That was something I've never seen before. And I've sailed with the best captains in the world." She squeezed his shoulder. "Thank you, Marcus. For everything." He nodded. Couldn't speak. The adrenaline was crashing, the exhaustion hitting. But they had made it. Against the odds, against the storm, against everything. They had made it. Marcus stood on the pier watching the ambulance take Vanessa to the hospital. She had asked him to come. He had said no. This moment belonged to her and her family. But she had made him promise something before she left. "When this is over," she had said, "we're going to talk, really talk, about the yacht, about you, about everything." "What do you mean?" She had looked at him, her eyes still wet. But something else there too, something he couldn't name. "I mean, you're not invisible anymore, Marcus Thompson. And I don't think you ever were." The ambulance disappeared into the Nassau night. Marcus stood alone on the pier. The storm was passing. The stars were coming out. Somewhere in Chicago, Isaiah was sleeping, dreaming about boats and heroes and a father who might finally be ready to become both. Marcus pulled out his phone, dialed Mrs. Robinson. "Hello. It's Marcus. I'm safe. We made it." "Thank the Lord. Isaiah's been asking about you all day. Can you do something for me? Anything." Marcus took a breath, deeper than any breath he'd taken in 5 years. "In my bedroom, top dresser drawer, there's a white envelope, Keisha's handwriting on the front." Silence on the other end. "I know the one. Don't open it, but keep it safe. I'm going to read it when I get home." "Marcus, are you sure?" He looked up at the clearing sky, at the stars, at the water that had almost killed him and had somehow saved him instead. "Yeah," he said, "for the first time in a long time. I'm sure." He hung up. The harbor was quiet now. The storm had passed, and Marcus Thompson, deckhand, widower, father, captain, stood at the edge of the water and let himself remember who he used to be, who he still was, who he could become again. The hospital corridor smelled like bleach and fear. Marcus walked beside Vanessa, still in his white crew uniform, wrinkled, stained with salt. People stared, whispered. A black man in work clothes next to a woman in designer everything. They made no sense together. Vanessa didn't seem to notice. Her eyes were fixed straight ahead, her hands clenched and unclenched at her sides. "She's in recovery," Vanessa said. "That's what they told me on the phone. Recovery. That's a good sign. Is it? If it wasn't, they would have said more." Vanessa glanced at him. Something flickered in her eyes. Gratitude, maybe, or just exhaustion. They reached the cardiac unit. A nurse looked up from her station. "Mrs. Catherine Sterling, room 412. Family only." "He's with me." Vanessa's voice left no room for argument. The nurse nodded, pointed down the hall. Room 412 was at the end. The door was half open. Voices drifted out. Vanessa stopped. Her whole body went rigid. "What's wrong?" "My father." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I can hear him." Marcus listened. A man's voice, deep, commanding, talking to someone about medications and procedures. "You haven't seen him in 5 years." "No." "He's probably scared too." Vanessa turned to him, her eyes wet. "You don't know my father. Admiral William Sterling doesn't get scared. He gets angry." "Same thing sometimes." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she pushed open the door. The room was small. White walls, monitors beeping. Catherine Sterling lay in the bed, pale but breathing. Tubes connected her to machines. And standing beside her back to the door was a tall man with silver hair and shoulders like a linebacker. He turned at the sound. Admiral William Sterling had his daughter's eyes, blue, sharp as broken glass. "Vanessa. Dad." The word hung between them, heavy with 5 years of silence, 5 years of hurt, 5 years of words that couldn't be taken back. William's gaze shifted to Marcus, scanned him head to toe. The uniform, the worn shoes, the calloused hands. "Who the hell is this?" "This is Captain Marcus Thompson. He brought me here." "Captain." William's eyebrows rose. "In that outfit? It's a long story." "I'm sure it is." William turned back to his wife, dismissed Marcus like he was furniture. Vanessa moved to her mother's bedside, took her hand. "How is she?" "Surgery went well. Triple bypass. She'll need months of recovery." William's voice was clipped. Medical. "But she'll live." "Thank God." God had nothing to do with it. The surgeon did. Vanessa closed her eyes. Marcus could see her fighting for control. Fighting not to break. "I'm glad she's okay, Dad." "Are you?" William turned to face her, his voice rising. "Is that why you haven't visited in 5 years? Why you missed her birthday 3 times? Why she cries every time your name comes up? Dad, please." "No." William stepped toward her. "You don't get to walk in here and pretend everything's fine. You abandoned this family for your career, for that company, for—" "I didn't abandon anyone. You pushed me away. I told you the truth. I told you that you were destroying everything I built. I was saving it. The company was hemorrhaging money. The fleet was outdated. If I hadn't—" "Enough." The word came from the bed, weak, raspy, but firm. Catherine Sterling's eyes were open. She looked between her husband and daughter. "Both of you. Stop." Vanessa dropped to her knees beside the bed. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I should have—" "Hush." Catherine's hand found her daughter's cheek. "You're here now. That's what matters." William stood rigid, his jaw tight, his hands clenched at his sides. Catherine looked at him. "William, sit down." "I'm fine standing. I almost died. Sit down." Something broke in William's face. Just for a second, a crack in the armor he'd worn for so long. He pulled a chair beside the bed, sat heavily, like a man who'd been carrying too much weight for too long. Catherine looked at Marcus, still standing by the door, still invisible. "And who is this young man?" "Captain Thompson," Vanessa said. "He captained me through a hurricane to get here." Catherine's eyebrows rose. "Through a hurricane?" "The weather was deteriorating," Marcus said. "We had a window. I took it." "He brought the yacht through 40-foot swells," Vanessa added. "In zero visibility. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen." William's head turned, his eyes narrowed, the dismissal gone, something else in its place. "What vessel?" "The Aurora Majesty." "You captained a $90 million yacht through hurricane conditions." "Yes, sir." "Crosswind." 60 knots, gusting higher. "Wave height." 40 feet, some larger." William leaned back in his chair, his whole demeanor changed. Something moved behind his eyes. "Where did you train to Coast Guard?" "Cape Hatteras Station, 15 years." William's expression shifted. Recognition flickered. "Hatteras. I lectured there in '09, guest instructor for the Advanced Rescue Program." "I remember. I was in that class." "You read my manual." 3 times. The chapter on storm navigation saved my life more than once." For the first time, William almost smiled. "And now you're captaining my daughter's yacht in a deckhand's uniform." "It's complicated." "I imagine it is." Catherine cleared her throat. "William, leave the poor man alone." She looked at Marcus. Thank you for bringing my daughter home. It's been too long. Marcus nodded. You should rest, ma'am. I intend to. Her eyes moved to Vanessa. But first, she paused. Vanessa, stay. Talk to your father. Really talk. Mom, for me, please. Vanessa looked at William. He looked at her. 5 years of silence. 5 years of hurt. 5 years of pride standing between them like a wall. I'll be in the waiting room, Marcus said. He left before anyone could respond. The waiting room was empty except for an old television playing news nobody was watching. Marcus sat in a plastic chair, stretched his legs, let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. His phone buzzed. Text from Mrs. Robinson. Isaiah, asking when you'll be home. Everything okay, Marcus typed back. Voyage ran long. Might be tomorrow. Okay to stay. Of course, he's already asleep. Be safe. Marcus stared at the phone, his son's face on the lock screen, smiling, gap-toothed. Perfect. What was he doing here 1,000 miles from home, in a hospital waiting room, for a woman who had humiliated him 12 hours ago? But something had shifted on that voyage. Something he couldn't name. Something that felt like the first crack of sunlight after years of darkness. He closed his eyes, just for a minute. The dream came immediately. Devon's face. Young. Terrified. What do we do? Commander? What do we do? The waves crashing, the line tangling, the body disappearing beneath the black water, the sound of his own voice screaming orders that didn't matter anymore. Man overboard. Man overboard. Marcus. He jerked awake. Vanessa stood in front of him, her eyes red, her mascara smeared. You were talking in your sleep. Marcus rubbed his face. Bad dream. The rescue. He didn't answer. Didn't need to. Vanessa sat in the chair beside him. We talked, my father and I. And it was hard. We said things, honest things. She paused. He cried. I've never seen my father cry. First time for everything. I'm staying the night, maybe a few days, until she's stable. Okay. The yacht needs to go back to Chicago. The company needs it. I can captain it back. Vanessa shook her head. That's not what I'm asking. She turned to face him fully. I'm asking you to stay. Marcus blinked. Stay. Here, in Nassau, until I'm ready to go back. Ms. Sterling. Vanessa, please. Vanessa. Marcus paused. I have a son at home. I know. I'll arrange for him to come here. Mrs. Robinson too if she's willing. First-class flights. Hotel suite. Whatever they need. Why? Vanessa was quiet for a moment. Her hands folded in her lap. Her eyes on the floor. Because for the first time in 5 years, I feel like something might be okay. And you're part of that. We met 12 hours ago. I know. She looked up at him. And in those 12 hours, you've shown me more about courage and integrity than anyone has in years. She paused. I meant what I said on the yacht. About owing you an apology. About being cruel. You already apologized. Words are cheap. I want to do something real. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folded paper. When we get back to Chicago, I want you to read this. Marcus took the paper, didn't open it. What is it? A job offer, chief captain position, Sterling Maritime Luxury. Marcus's chest tightened. I'm a deckhand. You're a Coast Guard officer who's been hiding for 5 years. There's a difference. I can't sail anymore. You sailed today. That was different. How? Marcus looked at the paper in his hands, felt its weight, heavier than it should have been. When I quit, I made a promise to myself. No more water. No more risking leaving Isaiah alone. And mopping decks is safer. It doesn't kill people. Vanessa's voice softened. Marcus, what happened to Devon Carter? That wasn't your fault. Everyone keeps saying that. Because it's true. Then why does it feel like a lie? The question hung between them, raw, honest, unanswered. Vanessa had no answer. No one ever did. Marcus stood. I should find a hotel. Stay at my father's place. Your father, he offered, wants to talk to you about the Coast Guard, about commanding. She paused. About what it takes to come back from losing someone in the water. Marcus went still. Your father lost someone. His executive officer, 1992, engine room fire on his destroyer, Raymond Banks. They'd been serving together for 15 years. Vanessa's voice dropped. Dad didn't sail for 2 years after that. Then he came back. Commanded for another 20 years without a single incident. How? He said he realized something. That Ray wouldn't want him to stop. That the best way to honor him was to keep sailing. To be better. To save the lives Ray couldn't. Marcus looked at her. This woman he'd known for less than a day, who somehow understood things about him that he'd never told anyone. One night, he said. I'll stay one night. Vanessa smiled. Small. Genuine. The first real smile he'd seen from her. One night. Admiral William Sterling's house was a sprawling estate on the outskirts of Nassau. White walls, tile floors, maritime memorabilia everywhere. Marcus stood in the guest room, looking at framed photographs. William in his navy dress whites, William shaking hands with presidents, William beside vessels of every era. A knock on the door. Come in. William entered, changed out of his suit, wore a polo shirt and khakis now, looked almost human. Getting settled. Yes, sir, thank you for... Drop the sir. You're not in the military anymore. William moved to the window, looked out at the darkness. Vanessa told me about your ensign, Devon Carter. Marcus tensed. I told her about Ray, 1992. Seems like yesterday some days. Other days feels like a different lifetime. How did you get past it? William turned. Who says I got past it? Marcus waited. I didn't get past it, William said. I got through it. There's a difference. I don't understand. Past means it's over, done, behind you. William walked to a framed photo on the desk. 2 men in naval uniforms, arms around each other's shoulders, younger versions of William and a man Marcus didn't recognize. Through means you carry it with you. Every voyage, every command, every decision. Doesn't that make it worse? No, it makes it meaningful. William picked up the photo, held it like something precious. Raymond Banks, best officer I ever served with. Better than me if I'm honest. The day he died, I wanted to die too. What changed? His wife, Eleanor. William set down the photo. 3 months after the accident, she showed up at my door. I thought she was going to scream at me. Blame me. I was ready for it. Hell, I wanted it. What did she do? She hugged me. Told me Ray would be furious if I quit sailing. Said he'd haunt me for the rest of my life if I wasted the gift he saw in me. William's voice cracked. Just slightly. Just enough to show the man underneath the admiral. She was right. Ray would have been furious. He loved the sea more than anything except Eleanor. To throw that away because of grief, it would have been an insult to everything he believed in. Marcus absorbed this. Let it settle. My wife believed the same thing, he said quietly. Keisha. She always said I was born for the water. Vanessa told me she passed, 3 years ago. Cancer. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Marcus looked at his hands. Me too. So you lost your ensign, then your wife, and then I had a son to raise alone, and I couldn't get back on the water. William nodded slowly. She left me a letter. Marcus didn't know why he said it. The words just came out. Keisha, I found it after the funeral. Never opened it. William's eyebrows rose. Why not? Because I knew what it would say. That I should sail again. That I should stop hiding. That Isaiah needed to see his father whole. Marcus's voice cracked. And I wasn't ready to hear it. Are you ready now? The question cut deep. Deeper than anything Vanessa had asked. Deeper than anything Marcus had asked himself. I don't know. Then maybe it's time to find out. William walked to the door. Paused. Get some sleep, Captain. Tomorrow, if you want, I'll show you something. What? William smiled. First genuine smile Marcus had seen from him. The first vessel I sailed after Ray died. I keep it in the boathouse out back. Old Bertram 31. Nothing fancy. But it's where I learned that sailing wasn't about forgetting the dead. He paused. It's about honoring them. He left. Marcus stood alone in the guest room. The photograph stared down at him. All those officers, all those voyages, all those lives. He pulled out his phone, found the contact he'd been avoiding. Mrs. Robinson, can you do something for me? Of course. What do you need? In my bedroom. Top dresser drawer. There's a white envelope. Keisha's handwriting on the front. Can you take a picture and send it to me? Silence on the other end. Of course. Give me 5 minutes. Marcus sat on the bed. Waited. His phone buzzed. The picture was blurry, but he could read Keisha's handwriting. For Marcus. When you're ready. He stared at it for a long time, traced the letters with his eyes. Her handwriting. Her words. Her love still reaching out from beyond the grave. Then he typed, "Don't open it. I'll read it when I get home. But thank you. Is everything okay?" Marcus thought about it. About the voyage. About Vanessa. About William. About the door that had cracked open after 5 years of darkness. I think it might be. For the first time in a long time. He set down the phone, lay back on the bed. Tomorrow he would sail with William. Tomorrow he would learn if he could carry the dead without being crushed by them. But tonight he let himself remember Keisha. Not the cancer, not the hospital, not the empty bed and the silence that followed. Her laugh, her smile. The way she would look at him when he talked about the ocean. Like he was describing magic. Like he was showing her a world she could only glimpse through his eyes. You were born for the water baby, she used to say. Don't you ever forget that. He hadn't forgotten. He had just been too afraid to remember. The Bertram was older than Marcus. William pulled back the boathouse doors the next morning, revealing a white and blue vessel that looked like it belonged in a museum. 1978, William said. Bought her the day after Ray's funeral. Sailed her for the first time 3 weeks later. 3 weeks? Couldn't do it sooner. Kept walking to the dock, sitting in the captain's chair, then walking away. William ran his hand along the hull, gentle, like touching an old friend. But eventually the need to sail was stronger than the fear. Marcus walked around the vessel. The paint was faded but clean. The propellers gleamed. She's still seaworthy. Annual inspection last month. Sails like a dream. Why keep her? Because she reminds me. William opened the cabin door. Every time I look at her, I remember what it felt like to be so broken I couldn't move. And then I remember what it felt like to move anyway. He gestured to the helm. Get in. Marcus hesitated. This isn't the Aurora Majesty. No autopilot, no fancy instruments, just you and the water. William's voice was firm. If you can sail this, you can sail anything. Marcus climbed aboard. The cabin was cramped, basic gauges, analog everything. William settled into the seat beside him. I'm not certified on small vessels anymore, Marcus said. I am. I'll handle the legal side. You just sail. Marcus looked at the instrument panel. Simple. Honest. Nothing to hide behind. Start the checklist, William said. Marcus's hands moved. Muscle memory. Battery switch. Fuel check. Blower. Clear, he called. He turned the key. The engine coughed, sputtered, caught. The sound was different from the yacht. Rougher, more immediate. He could feel every cylinder firing. Head out to open water, William said. Marcus released the lines. The Bertram drifted backward. His hands worked the throttle. Awkward at first, then smoother. They cleared the harbor. The open ocean waited. Your vessel, William said. Marcus pushed the throttle forward. The engine roared. A small roar. Nothing like the yacht, but real, alive. The Bertram accelerated. The bow lifted. The spray hit his face. And suddenly, everything changed. The noise fell away. The weight lifted. The horizon stretched infinite in every direction. Marcus hadn't felt this in 5 years. The freedom, the power, the absolute rightness of being exactly where he belonged. How does it feel? William asked. Marcus couldn't answer. His throat was too tight. First time I sailed after Ray, William said. I cried for 20 minutes, just circled the harbor. Crying like a baby, couldn't help it. Marcus blinked. His vision was blurry. There's no shame in it, William continued. You're not just sailing. You're coming home. Marcus leveled off at cruising speed. The Bertram hummed. Steady. Faithful. I've been so angry, he said. The words came without planning. At the ocean that killed Devon. At the cancer that killed Keisha. At God. The universe. Whatever. Just angry. Anger's easy. It's a wall you can hide behind. I know, but I didn't know how to stop. You don't stop. William pointed out the window. See that wave, the one cresting to starboard? Marcus looked. A wave building, angry, ready to break. That's what anger looks like. Tight, dense, ready to explode. William pointed farther out. Now look at that one. The long, rolling swell. A gentle wave, spreading across the water. Powerful, but peaceful. That's what anger becomes when you let it go. It doesn't disappear. It just expands, becomes part of something bigger. Marcus watched the waves, the crest, the swell. How long did it take you? Years, and I'm still working on it. William shrugged. But that's the point. It's not about finishing. It's about trying, every day, every voyage. Marcus turned the Bertram, banked gently. The bow dipped toward the horizon. My son doesn't know I can sail, he said. I never told him. Why not? Because if he knew, he'd want me to do it. And I wasn't ready to explain why I couldn't. Maybe it's time to show him instead of explaining. Marcus thought about Isaiah, 7 years old, asking about boats, asking if his father was ever a captain. Keisha left me that letter, wrote it before she died, told Mrs. Robinson that one day I'd sail again. Smart woman. The smartest. Marcus's voice broke slightly. She saw things in me I couldn't see in myself. That's what good partners do. They hold the vision when we lose it. They sailed in silence for a while. The Bertram carved through the morning water. Smooth. Pure. I want to read the letter, Marcus said finally. When I get home, I want to read it. Good. And I want to think about Vanessa's offer, the captain position. Even better. Marcus looked at William. You're her father. Shouldn't you be warning me off, telling me I'm not good enough? William laughed. First real laugh. Son, I watched you captain a $90 million yacht through conditions that would have made most captains wet themselves. My daughter trusts you, my wife likes you, and you took my advanced rescue class. He shook his head. If anything, I should be warning her that you're too good. Marcus didn't know how to respond. Take us back, William said. And when we dock, I'll tell you something about Vanessa. Something that might help you understand why she needs someone like you. Marcus turned toward the harbor. The Bertram responded perfectly. The docking was rusty, a small bump, but safe. They tied off the lines, shut down the engine. In the silence that followed, William spoke. Vanessa's been alone for a long time. Oh, she dates, goes to galas, has 100 people around her every day, but alone in the way that matters. Why? Because she watched me push everyone away after Ray died. Watched me become hard, cold, to protect myself. William climbed out of the vessel, looked back at Marcus. And she learned it. Learned that vulnerability was weakness, that letting people in meant getting hurt. His voice dropped. But yesterday she let you in, a deckhand she'd mocked, a stranger. She let you see her scared, crying, asking for help. William's eyes were intense. That's not nothing, Captain. That's everything. I'm not looking for a relationship. Neither was I when I met Catherine. Neither is anyone when they meet the person who changes everything. William walked toward the house. Paused. Turned back. But here's the thing about change. It doesn't ask permission. It just happens. And you either fight it or flow with it. He disappeared into the house. Marcus sat on the dock alone. The water lapped against the pilings. The sun warmed his face. He looked at his hands. The same hands that had mopped decks for 3 years. The same hands that had captained a yacht through a hurricane. The same hands that had held Keisha as she died. That had carried Isaiah through his first steps. They were capable of so much more than he had allowed them. He stood. Walked toward the house. Tomorrow he would sail home. Tomorrow he would read Keisha's letter. Tomorrow he would tell Isaiah the truth. And maybe, just maybe, he would take the first step toward who he was meant to be. The voyage back to Chicago was different. Vanessa sat in the bridge beside Marcus this time. William had convinced her to take sailing lessons years ago. She knew enough to monitor instruments. "You're different," she said as Marcus set the course. "Different how?" "Lighter. Like you set something down." "Maybe I did." "My father." "Partly. And the Bertram. And just time, I guess." Vanessa nodded. Didn't push. "I thought about your offer," Marcus said. "The captain job. And I need time. I have to talk to my son. Read something important. Figure some things out." "Take all the time you need." "You don't even know if I'll say yes." "I know." Vanessa looked at him. "But something tells me you will, when you're ready." Marcus couldn't argue with that, because something told him the same thing. They sailed through calm waters. The hurricane had passed. The ocean was peaceful, almost apologetic for the violence it had shown them. 12 hours in Vanessa's phone buzzed. She read the message. Her face changed. "What is it?" "Victoria." Vanessa's voice was tight. "She knows you captained the yacht. Word got back to Chicago." That was fast. "Victoria makes it her business to know everything." Vanessa looked at him. "She's not happy." "I imagine not." "She's been calling board members, trying to convince them that letting you captain was a liability. A PR disaster waiting to happen." Marcus's jaw tightened. And I don't care what she thinks." Vanessa's voice hardened. "I'm the CEO. I make the decisions, not her." "She could make things difficult." "She already makes things difficult. That's what she does." Vanessa put away her phone. "But she's never gone up against someone like you." "What do you mean?" "I mean you don't care what people think. You don't play games. You don't politic." She smiled slightly. "You just do what needs to be done. That terrifies people like Victoria." Marcus thought about this. "I'm not trying to terrify anyone." "I know. That's what makes it worse for her." They sailed in silence for a while. "Can I ask you something?" Vanessa said. "Sure." "When we get back, when everything settles." She paused. "What do you really want?" Marcus considered the question. Really considered it. "I want Isaiah to be proud of me. Not for what I achieve, but for who I am." "What else?" "I want to stop hiding. Stop pretending to be less than I am. And," Marcus looked at her, "I want to find out if there's still something left. something worth building, after everything I've lost. Vanessa held his gaze. There is, she said quietly. I can see it. How? Because I've been looking for it too. In myself. And I think I finally found it. She didn't explain what she meant, didn't need to. Marcus understood. They docked in Chicago as the sun was setting. Tom Morrison was waiting by the pier, grinning like a kid on Christmas. Heard you made quite an impression in Nassau, Tom said. Word travels fast. Instantly, Victoria's been losing her mind trying to figure out how a deckhand captained a $90 million yacht through a hurricane. What's she saying? That you got lucky, that Vanessa's lost her mind, that the company's going to crash and burn if they give you a captain position. She knows about the offer. Everyone knows. Tom nodded toward Vanessa. She made sure of it. Marcus looked at Vanessa. She shrugged. I wanted it official. No more hiding. No more pretending you're something you're not. The words hit Marcus somewhere deep. No more hiding. No more pretending. That was exactly what he had been doing for 5 years. Hiding from the water. Pretending to be a deckhand. Living a life smaller than he was meant for. I need to get home, he said. Isaiah's waiting. I'll have a car take you. Vanessa touched his arm. Think about the offer. And Marcus. Yeah. Whatever you decide. Thank you. For everything. He nodded, walked to the waiting car. The drive home felt like crossing into another world. The same streets, the same buildings. But he was different. Mrs. Robinson was dozing on the couch when he walked in. She woke immediately. You're back. Sorry it took so long. Don't apologize. She stood, gathered her things. Isaiah's asleep. Been asking for you all day? Thank you for everything. Mrs. Robinson paused at the door. That envelope, the one from Keisha. I found it. It's on your dresser. I know. Are you going to read it? Marcus took a breath. Deeper than any breath he'd taken in 5 years. Tonight. I'm going to read it tonight. Mrs. Robinson smiled. First time he'd ever seen her smile like that. Warm. Hopeful. Good. It's been waiting long enough. She left. Marcus walked to Isaiah's room, cracked the door. His son lay curled on his side, stuffed whale under his arm, breathing slow and steady. He sat on the edge of the bed, watched his son breathe. I'm sorry I was gone, he whispered. But I'm back, and things are going to be different now. I promise. Isaiah stirred. Didn't wake. Marcus kissed his forehead, stood. Then he walked to his bedroom, to the dresser, to the white envelope with Keisha's handwriting. For Marcus. When you're ready. His hands shook as he opened it. 3 pages. Her handwriting. Neat. Clear. So achingly familiar that his chest hurt just looking at it. He sat on the bed. Started reading. My love. If you're reading this, it means 2 things. First, that something has happened to me. Second, that you're finally ready to hear what I've been wanting to tell you for years. Marcus's vision blurred. He wiped his eyes, kept reading. I know you stopped sailing because of Devon. I know you blame yourself, even though everyone says it wasn't your fault. And I know that no matter what I say, you'll carry that weight until you decide to set it down. He could hear her voice, like she was sitting beside him, like she had never left. But here's what I need you to understand. You are not your worst moment. You are not the rescue that failed. You are not the man who couldn't save everyone. His throat tightened. You are the man who held me when I cried. The man who stayed up all night with Isaiah when he was sick. The man who works a job he hates just to keep us safe. Tears fell onto the paper. He didn't wipe them away. You are brave. You are strong. You are exactly the man I fell in love with. He had to stop, had to breathe. The words were too heavy, too true. And one day when you're ready, I need you to sail again. Not for me, for Isaiah. He needs to see his father whole. He needs to know that mistakes don't define us. That failure isn't final. That courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward anyway. Marcus thought about Isaiah, asking if his father was ever a captain, asking why he always looked at the water. I wish I could be there when you get back on the water. I wish I could see your face when you remember who you really are. His hands were shaking so hard he could barely hold the paper. But if I can't, I need you to know this. I am so proud of you, not for what you achieve, but for who you are. For the man who keeps trying, even when it hurts. For the father who loves our son more than anything. For the captain who will sail again when the time is right. He was sobbing now. Quietly. In the darkness. Alone. The ocean is waiting for you, baby. And so is the life you deserve. All my love forever and always. Keisha Marcus read the letter again. And again. And a third time. By the second reading, the tears had slowed. By the third, he understood what she had been trying to tell him. He wasn't broken. He had never been broken. He had just been waiting. Waiting for permission. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for someone to tell him it was okay to live again. Keisha had given him that permission. 3 years ago. In a letter he had been too afraid to open. There was a postscript at the bottom. He had almost missed it. P.S. When you tell Isaiah about your sailing days, tell him I knew you'd find your way back. Tell him his daddy is a hero, not because he never falls, but because he always gets back up. Marcus set down the letter. Walked back to Isaiah's room. Sat beside his son's bed. Isaiah. He shook him gently. Wake up, buddy. Isaiah's eyes fluttered open. Dad, you're home. I'm home, and I have to tell you something. Isaiah sat up, rubbed his eyes. What? Marcus took a breath. Deeper than any breath he'd taken in his life. I used to be a captain, a long time ago. Before you were born, I sailed ships, big ones, fast ones. Isaiah's eyes went wide. Really? Really? But something bad happened, and I stopped sailing. I was scared. Scared of what? Of sailing again, of losing people I love. Marcus's voice cracked. Of not being there for you. Isaiah was quiet, thinking, processing. But you sailed to Nassau, he said finally. Mrs. Robinson told me. You sailed a big yacht through a storm. I did. So you're not scared anymore? Marcus considered the question. Really considered it. I'm still scared, but I'm going to try anyway. Isaiah smiled. That gap-toothed grin that looked so much like Keisha. Mom said you would. Marcus's heart stopped. What? Before she went to heaven, she told me you used to sail. That one day you'd sail again. Isaiah's voice was matter-of-fact. She said I should be proud of you when it happened. Marcus pulled his son close, held him tight. Are you proud of me? Yeah, Dad. Isaiah's arms wrapped around his neck. I'm super proud. They stayed like that for a long time. Father and son, holding on to each other in the darkness. When Marcus finally let go, something had shifted. The weight he'd carried for 5 years. Not gone, but lighter. Transformed. Go back to sleep, buddy. Will you sail again for real? Marcus looked at his son, at Keisha's eyes in that small face. Yeah, he said. I think I will. Isaiah smiled. Lay back down. Within seconds, he was asleep. Marcus walked to the window, looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there beyond the city lights, the stars were shining. Millions of them, each one a destination he might someday reach. He pulled out his phone, found Vanessa's number, typed one word. Yes. 3 dots appeared. Then I knew you would. See you Monday. Captain Thompson. Marcus smiled. First real smile in longer than he could remember. He was going to sail again. And this time, nothing would stop him. Monday morning arrived faster than Marcus expected. He stood in front of the bathroom mirror, staring at a face he barely recognized. Same eyes, same jaw. But something had shifted underneath. Isaiah appeared in the doorway, toothbrush in hand. "Dad, are you nervous?" "A little." "Don't be. You're the best captain ever." Marcus smiled. "You keep saying that." "Because it's true." Isaiah went back to brushing his teeth. Conversation over. Confidence absolute. The drive to Sterling Maritime felt different. Same route he'd taken for 3 years. Same traffic. Same buildings. But he wasn't heading to the supply closet. He wasn't picking up a mop. He was going to sail. Tom Morrison met him at the entrance, grinning like a kid on Christmas. "Look at you. New uniform and everything." Marcus looked down at himself. Navy captain's uniform. Sterling Maritime logo on the chest. Captain's insignia on the shoulders. "Feels strange." "Looks right." Tom clapped him on the back. "Come on, Vanessa's waiting." They walked through the marina. People stared, whispered. The deckhand who sailed through a hurricane. The invisible man who became a captain. Marcus kept his eyes forward. Let them stare. Vanessa was in the briefing room, tablet in hand, coffee on the table. "Captain Thompson, right on time." "Ms. Sterling." "Vanessa, we discussed this." "Old habits?" She smiled. That small, genuine smile he was starting to recognize. "Sit down. We have a lot to cover." The next 3 hours were a blur of paperwork protocols and procedures. Medical certification, license verification, insurance forms, background checks. "Your Coast Guard record is impressive," Vanessa said, scrolling through her tablet. 2 distinguished service medals, commendation for exceptional performance under emergency conditions, letter of commendation from the commandant himself. That was a long time ago. 5 years isn't that long. She looked up. The Maritime Authority requires a requalification process, simulator tests, check voyages, certification renewal. How long? Normally takes 6 months. I can push it to 8 weeks, maybe 6 if you're exceptional. Why the rush? Vanessa hesitated. Set down the tablet. There's an opportunity. The International Maritime Expo in Monaco. 3 months from now. They want a demonstration captain. Someone who can showcase precision sailing for international clients. And you want me. Oceanic Industries wants you. They saw footage from Nassau. Marcus blinked. What footage? The harbor cameras recorded your approach. 40-foot swells, 0 visibility, perfect docking. Vanessa pulled up a video on her tablet. It went viral in maritime circles. 2 million views and counting. Marcus watched himself bring the Aurora Majesty into the harbor. From the outside it looked smooth, effortless. He remembered it feeling like barely controlled chaos. I didn't know. That's what makes it impressive. You weren't performing, you were just sailing. The door burst open. Victoria Ashford stood in the doorway, face red, hands shaking. You can't be serious. Vanessa's expression went cold. Excuse me. Him. Victoria pointed at Marcus. You're making him a captain, the deckhand. Former Coast Guard officer, former rescue commander, distinguished service record. He mopped our decks. And now he'll captain our yachts. Is there a problem? Victoria's mouth worked. No sound came out. Because if there is, Vanessa continued, her voice dropping to ice. You're welcome to submit a formal complaint in writing to HR, where it will be filed appropriately. The threat was clear. Victoria's jaw tightened. The board won't approve this. The board already has. Unanimous decision this morning. My father recommended him personally. Victoria stared at Marcus, pure hatred in her eyes. This isn't over. She left. The door slammed behind her. Vanessa let out a breath. I'm sorry about that. She doesn't like me. She doesn't like anyone who threatens her position. And you, Captain Thompson, are very threatening. I just want to sail. I know, but in this world, nothing is ever that simple. The training began that afternoon. Sterling Maritime Simulator was state-of-the-art. A perfect replica of the Aurora Majesty's bridge mounted on hydraulic systems that mimicked every motion, every sensation. Marcus strapped in. The instructor, a former Navy commander named Sarah Chen, ran through the basics. Your Coast Guard hours count, but civilian procedures are different. We'll start with standard operations: docking, departure, navigation. Then we'll move to emergency protocols. Understood. Any questions? Marcus thought about it. How hard are the emergency tests? Hard enough that most captains fail the first time. Commander Chen's voice was matter-of-fact. The Level 5 simulation has a 70% failure rate. It's designed to break you. What happens if I fail? You train more. Try again. Eventually, most people pass. And if I don't? Then you don't captain for Sterling. Simple as that. Marcus nodded. Gripped the wheel. Let's begin. The first week was humbling. Marcus had forgotten how much he had forgotten. Procedures that had been automatic now required conscious thought. Reactions that had been instantaneous now lagged by crucial seconds. He failed his first simulated approach, and his second, and his third. Commander Chen was patient but direct. You're thinking too much. Your hands know what to do. Your brain is getting in the way. I'm trying. Stop trying. Start trusting. Easier said than done. Every time Marcus touched the controls, Devon's face flashed in his mind. Every alarm triggered memories of crashing waves and tangled rescue lines. At the end of the first week, Vanessa found him in the marina, late, alone, staring at the Aurora Majesty. Rough day. Rough week. She stood beside him, close enough that he could smell her perfume. Tom says you're improving. Tom's being kind. Tom doesn't know how to be kind. He's being honest. She paused. What's wrong? Marcus didn't answer for a long moment. I keep seeing him. Devon. Every time something goes wrong in the sim, he's there, asking me what to do, like I have the answer. Do you? I didn't then. I don't now. Vanessa turned to face him. My father told me something once about Raymond Banks, his executive officer who died. He mentioned him. He said that for years Ray appeared in his dreams, every night. Same question, same fear, same guilt. What made it stop? It didn't stop, it changed. Vanessa's voice softened. Ray stopped asking what to do. Started telling my father what he was doing right. Marcus went still. The ghosts don't leave Marcus. They just change what they say. He looked at her. This woman who had mocked him, who had offered him a chance, who kept showing up when he needed someone. Why do you care so much? About what? About me? About this? You could have hired any captain in the country. Why me? Vanessa was quiet for a moment. Because I've spent my whole life surrounded by people who tell me what I want to hear, who see my money, my position, my name, not me. And I'm different. You looked at me in that bridge, really looked, and you weren't afraid, you weren't impressed, you just saw me. She smiled, sad and small. Do you know how rare that is? Marcus didn't know what to say, so he said nothing. They stood there in the empty marina, the Aurora Majesty silent between them. Get some rest, Vanessa said finally. Tomorrow we start advanced maneuvers. Yes, ma'am. Vanessa. Vanessa. She walked away. He watched her go. Then he went home to Isaiah, who was already asleep, and lay awake until dawn thinking about ghosts and second chances. The second week was better. Marcus stopped fighting his instincts, let his hands move without conscious direction. The simulator responded. The failures became fewer. The recoveries became faster. Commander Chen noticed. Whatever you did over the weekend, keep doing it. I stopped thinking. Best thing a captain can do. By the end of week 3, Marcus was passing standard procedures consistently. Docking, departure, navigation, emergency maneuvers, all within parameters. But the real test was coming. Everyone knew it. The Level 5 simulation. Victoria had been busy too. Marcus heard the whispers, saw the looks. Someone had leaked his deckhand past to maritime blogs. Former mop jockey claims captain position. Sterling Maritime's desperate gamble. The articles were cruel. The comments were worse. Tom found Marcus reading one on his phone. Don't do that to yourself. They're calling me a fraud. They're calling you what they're afraid of. Tom took the phone, put it in his pocket. Every captain in that comment section wishes they had your skills. They're not mocking you. They're threatened by you. How do you know? Because I've been in this business 40 years. I've seen captains come and go. Good ones, bad ones, mediocre ones. Tom looked at him steadily. You're not good, Marcus. You're exceptional. And exceptional scares people. Marcus wanted to believe him. Wasn't sure he could. That night, Isaiah asked about the articles. Tommy at school said his dad read something about you, that you used to clean toilets. Marcus put down his fork. I did. He said that means you're not a real captain. What do you think? Isaiah considered this. Serious. Thoughtful. I think you sailed Mom to heaven, and you sailed that lady through a hurricane. And Tommy's dad doesn't do anything except yell at football games. Marcus laughed. First real laugh in weeks. You're pretty smart, you know that. Mom said the same thing. The mention of Keisha hit Marcus somewhere deep. But it didn't hurt like it used to. It felt warm. Present. She was right, he said. About a lot of things. The day of the Level 5 simulation arrived. Marcus woke before dawn, made breakfast for Isaiah, drove him to school. Good luck, Dad. Thanks, buddy. You're going to pass, I know it. How do you know? Isaiah smiled, that gap-toothed grin. Because Mom told me, last night, in my dream. Marcus's throat tightened. What did she say? She said to tell you to remember what you're sailing for, not away from. Isaiah hugged him. I don't know what that means, but she said you would. He ran into school. Marcus sat in the car for a long time. Sailing for, not away from. He had spent 5 years sailing away from Devon, from Keisha, from who he used to be. Maybe it was time to sail toward something instead. The simulator bay was crowded. Marcus hadn't expected an audience. But there they were. Board members, engineers, other captains. Victoria stood in the back, arms crossed, waiting for failure. Vanessa was there too. Her face calm, but her eyes betrayed her. You don't have to do this today, she said quietly. We can reschedule. No, it's time. Marcus. Vanessa. He met her eyes. I'm ready. She nodded, stepped back. Commander Chen was waiting by the simulator. You know the scenario. Complete navigation system failure at open sea. No GPS, no radar, no electronic instruments. You have 30 minutes to navigate to safe harbor using only manual techniques. I know. 70% of captains fail this. The ones who pass usually have 10 attempts behind them. This is your first. I know. Chen studied him. Why are you so calm? Because my son told me something this morning. Something my wife said in his dream. What was that? That I should sail for something, not away from it. Chen was quiet for a moment. That's either the wisest thing I've ever heard or complete nonsense. Probably both. Chen almost smiled. Get in the simulator, Captain Thompson. Marcus climbed in, strapped the harness, put on the headset. The bridge was dark, waiting. He closed his eyes, breathed deep. Devon's face appeared, but different this time. Not panicked, not asking questions. Just there, steady, calm. "You've got this, Commander." Marcus opened his eyes. "Ready when you are." The simulation began. Normal operations, standard heading, steady sailing. Then everything went wrong at once. The master alarm screamed. Every screen went dark. The navigation system died. The radar flatlined. Every electronic instrument failed simultaneously. "Complete system failure," Marcus said automatically. "Training taking over." Switching to manual navigation. He killed the alarms, focused on what he had left. Compass, paper charts, the stars through the simulated windows. "Estimating position based on last known heading and speed," he said out loud. "Calculating drift from wind direction." The simulator pitched. A storm was rolling in. Because of course it was. Marcus pulled out the paper charts, started plotting by hand, the way sailors had done for centuries before GPS existed. "Heading correction, 20 degrees starboard." He adjusted the wheel, felt the simulated vessel respond. 30 minutes. No electronics. Rising storm. "You sure about this?" Devon's voice, but not scared, curious, like he genuinely wanted to know. "We sail through it," Marcus said out loud. "That's what we do." He worked the charts, calculated distances, estimated currents, used every manual technique he'd learned in 20 years on the water. The storm intensified, visibility dropped. The simulator bucked and rolled, but Marcus's hand stayed steady. His mind stayed clear. 20 minutes in, he spotted the simulated lighthouse through the rain. Harbor entrance bearing 035, adjusting approach. He threaded the needle. Narrow channel, no margin for error, no instruments to guide him, just skill, just instinct, just 20 years of experience that no machine failure could take away. The simulator's dock approached. Marcus cut the engines at exactly the right moment. Let momentum carry them in. The hull kissed the dock. Perfect, soft as a whisper. Silence. The alarms went quiet. The simulation froze. Marcus sat there, hands still on the wheel, breathing hard. Commander Chen's voice came through the headset. "Time 27 minutes. All parameters within tolerance." Pause. Simulation passed. Marcus closed his eyes. "Good job, Captain." Devon's voice, proud this time. "Thanks, Lieutenant." Marcus whispered. "Couldn't have done it without you." He climbed out of the simulator, legs shaking but standing. The observation room had erupted. Vanessa was crying, Tom was cheering. The board members were on their feet, and Victoria was walking out, her face a mask of barely contained fury. Vanessa reached him first, threw her arms around him. "You did it. You actually did it." "Told you I would." "You told me nothing. You just showed up and passed a test that breaks everyone." She pulled back, looked at him. "How do you feel?" Marcus thought about it, about Devon, about Keisha, about 5 years of hiding. "Like I'm finally where I'm supposed to be." Tom clapped him on the back. "Drinks are on me tonight, the whole crew. I have to pick up Isaiah. Bring him too. He should celebrate with his old man." Marcus smiled. "Yeah, he should." The celebration lasted until midnight. Isaiah fell asleep on a couch in the break room surrounded by deckhands and captains who had adopted him as a mascot. Mrs. Robinson had come too at Vanessa's insistence and spent the evening telling everyone who would listen about what a good father Marcus was. Vanessa found Marcus on the dock, same spot where everything had started, where she had made her cruel joke, where he had decided to prove her wrong. "Some party," she said. "Someday." She stood beside him, looking out at the water. "Monaco is confirmed, 3 months from now. The board approved it this afternoon. Because I passed the simulation. Because you passed it on the first try. That's never happened before, not in the level 5. Marcus absorbed this. What happens now? Now you train. Really train. Advanced maneuvers. Precision sailing. Everything you need to put on a show that'll make the entire maritime world take notice. And if I mess up, then you mess up in front of 40 countries and we deal with it. Vanessa shrugged. But you won't. How do you know? She turned to him, her eyes bright in the darkness. Because you sailed for something today, not away from it. I saw it in there. Something changed. Marcus thought about Isaiah's words, about Keisha's message, about Devon's voice in his head. My son told me something this morning, something my wife said in his dream. What? To remember what I'm sailing for, not away from. Vanessa was quiet for a moment. What are you sailing for? Marcus looked at her, really looked, like he had in the bridge over the Atlantic. I used to think I was sailing to escape the shore, the ordinary, the life everyone else lived. He paused. Then I stopped sailing because I was trying to escape something else, the guilt, the failure, the weight of everyone I'd lost. And now I'm sailing for Isaiah, for Keisha's memory, for every kid who thinks their dreams are too big. He took a breath. And maybe for you. Vanessa's breath caught. For me. You saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. You gave me a chance when everyone else saw a deckhand. He met her eyes. I don't know what that means yet, but I know it means something. She was quiet for a long time. My whole life, she said finally. People have seen what I could do for them. My money, my connections, my name. No one's ever said they wanted to do something for me. Maybe they just didn't know how to say it. Or maybe they didn't mean it. I mean it. Their eyes met, held. Monaco is 3 months away, Vanessa said softly. A lot can change in 3 months. A lot already has. She smiled. That small, genuine smile that transformed her whole face. Get some sleep, Captain Thompson. Training starts at 0600. Yes, ma'am? Vanessa. Vanessa. She walked toward the parking lot, paused, looked back. Marcus. Yeah? Thank you for seeing me. She disappeared into the night. Marcus stood alone on the dock. The marina spread out before him, the stars above, the water below. Somewhere in Chicago, Isaiah was dreaming about boats and heroes and a father who was finally becoming both. Marcus looked up at the sky. I'm doing it, Keisha, he whispered. I'm finally doing it. The wind shifted, warm, gentle, like a hand on his cheek. He smiled. Then he went to collect his sleeping son and drove home through streets that felt different now, brighter, fuller, like the whole world had opened up while he wasn't looking. Tomorrow the real work would begin. Tomorrow he would train harder than he'd ever trained before. Tomorrow he would take another step toward Monaco, toward proving everyone wrong, toward the life he'd been too afraid to live. But tonight, Marcus Thompson was exactly where he belonged. And for the first time in 5 years, that was enough. The weeks that followed pushed Marcus to his limits. Commander Chen designed a training regimen that would have broken most captains. 6 hours in the simulator, 2 hours of physical conditioning, 4 hours of navigation theory and emergency procedures. Every day, no breaks, no mercy. Monaco isn't a vacation, she told him. It's a performance. Every captain in the world will be watching. Every mistake will be analyzed. Every success will be questioned. I understand. Do you? Because if you're not ready, you'll embarrass yourself and Sterling and everyone who believed in you. I won't embarrass anyone. Prove it. He proved it, day after day, voyage after voyage. The maneuvers they demanded were beyond anything Marcus had done in the Coast Guard. Precision docking at exact angles, high-speed turns that pushed the yacht to its limits, Approaches in conditions that seemed impossible. But Marcus learned, adapted, improved. The ghost of Devon stayed with him, not haunting anymore, just present. A co-pilot in his mind who commented on every maneuver, every decision. Nice recovery. Little steep there, Commander. Now that's sailing. Marcus started talking back, quietly, under his breath. It felt crazy. It felt right. Isaiah noticed the change. You smile more now, Dad. Do I? Yeah, like you used to, before Mom went to heaven. I feel different. Good different. Good different. Isaiah nodded, satisfied. Mom would be happy. I think she is, buddy. I think she is. Vanessa visited the training sessions when she could, which was often, more often than a CEO should have time for. The staff noticed. Tom noticed. Victoria definitely noticed. She's falling for him, Victoria told the board members at a meeting Marcus wasn't supposed to know about. The deckhand. It's unprofessional. It's embarrassing. It's none of your concern. Admiral William Sterling's voice. He had flown in from Nassau specifically for the meeting. His presence silenced the room. My daughter runs this company. Who she chooses to spend time with is her business. Captain Thompson has proven himself more than capable. The discussion is closed. Victoria's face went white, then red. Sir, with all respect, the discussion is closed. It was closed. But Victoria didn't forget. Marcus could see it in her eyes every time they passed in the corridor. The hatred, the waiting. She was planning something. He just didn't know what. 2 weeks before Monaco, the answer came. Marcus arrived at the marina to find a crowd gathered around the main briefing room. Captains, deckhands, administrators, all staring at the television mounted on the wall. Former deckhand at Sterling Maritime, now set to represent the company at the International Maritime Expo in Monaco, the news anchor said. Marcus's heart stopped. Sources claim that Thompson left the Coast Guard under mysterious circumstances following a fatal rescue operation. The footage cut to a photograph. Young. Official. A Coast Guard portrait. Devon Carter. Ensign Devon Carter, killed during a rescue mission, was reportedly under Thompson's command. Questions are being raised about whether Thompson is truly qualified. Tom pushed through the crowd, turned off the television. Everyone back to work. Now! People dispersed. Slowly. Reluctantly. Their eyes lingered on Marcus. Vanessa appeared beside him. Her face pale. My office. Now. They walked in silence, past the staring faces, past the whispers, into the elevator, up to the executive floor. Vanessa closed the door. Victoria. She's the only one who would leak this, the only one with access to your personnel file. Vanessa's hands were shaking. I'll fire her today. No. What? Don't fire her. Marcus, she told the truth. His voice was flat, controlled. I was Devon's commanding officer. He did die under my watch. Those are facts. But the way she presented them. Doesn't matter. The story's out. Firing her won't change that. It'll just look like we're hiding something. Vanessa stared at him. You're protecting her. I'm protecting you, and Sterling, and the Monaco demonstration. Marcus met her eyes. If you fire her now, the media will say you're covering up. They'll dig deeper, find more, make it worse. So what do? We tell the truth, all of it. The weather conditions, the equipment failure, the investigation findings that cleared me. Everything. That's risky. It's honest, and honest is all I have. Vanessa was quiet for a long moment. You're not the man I thought you were. No, I'm the man I was always supposed to be. It just took me 5 years to remember. She crossed the room, stood in front of him. The press conference is in 2 hours. Are you ready? No, but I'll do it anyway. Why? Because that's what brave people do. Because that's what my son needs to see. Vanessa nodded, took his hand. I'll be right beside you. I know. The press conference was chaos. 50 reporters, 100 cameras, questions shouted from every direction. Marcus stood at the podium, Vanessa on his right, Admiral Sterling on his left. Captain Thompson, how do you respond to allegations that you're unqualified for the Monaco demonstration? I respond with facts. Marcus's voice was steady, calm. My Coast Guard record is public. 15 years of service, 2 Distinguished Service Medals, Rescue Commander certification from the Atlantic Station, and the Rescue Ensign Carter. Marcus's throat tightened, but he didn't look away. Ensign Devon Carter was my rescue swimmer, my responsibility. On March 17, 2019, we were conducting a rescue operation off Cape Hatteras. Fishing vessel taking on water in a storm. Standard situation. We'd done it 100 times. Silence. Devon went into the water. A rogue wave hit the fishing vessel. Debris everywhere. His line tangled. By the time we got to him, Marcus stopped. He drowned, 30 feet from our boat. I watched it happen. The room was absolutely still. The subsequent investigation found no commander error. The failure was circumstantial. Weather conditions beyond prediction. Equipment limitations. I was cleared of any wrongdoing and offered reinstatement. But you didn't take it. No, I didn't. Marcus paused. Because every time I looked at the water, I saw Devon's face. Heard him asking what to do. Like I had the answer. Like I could save him. His voice cracked. First time in public. Ever. I couldn't sail anymore, so I stopped. For 5 years. Worked as a deckhand. Raised my son. Tried to forget who I used to be. What changed? Marcus looked at Vanessa. Someone believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. She gave me a chance, and I'm not going to waste it. The questions continued, some hostile, some sympathetic. Marcus answered them all. When it was over, he walked out of the room feeling empty and full at the same time. Tom was waiting in the corridor. Hell of a performance, Captain. It wasn't a performance. I know. That's what made it good. Vanessa joined them. The board is satisfied. Monaco is still on. Marcus nodded, too drained to feel relieved. Go home, Vanessa said. Be with your son. We pick up training tomorrow. What about Victoria? I'm not firing her, like you said. Vanessa's voice hardened. But she's been reassigned, permanently, to our satellite office in Alaska. There's a satellite office in Alaska. There is now. Marcus almost smiled. Thank you. Thank me by putting on the best damn demonstration Monaco has ever seen. Yes, ma'am. Vanessa. Vanessa. He drove home. Isaiah was waiting at the window, waving. Marcus waved back. Tomorrow he would train harder than ever. Tomorrow he would prove that second chances weren't just possible. They were earned. The final 2 weeks disappeared in a blur of preparation. Marcus pushed himself harder than he'd ever pushed before. 8-hour simulator sessions. Physical conditioning that left him exhausted. Every spare moment spent reviewing procedures, memorizing sequences, visualizing the demonstration. Commander Chen watched him with something close to concern. You're going to burn out before you even get there. I'll rest on the plane. That's not how it works. It's how it works for me. She didn't argue. She had learned that arguing with Marcus Thompson was like arguing with the tide. The night before departure, Marcus sat with Isaiah on the apartment balcony. Stars scattered across the Chicago sky. Dad. Yeah, buddy. Are you scared? Marcus thought about it. Really thought about it. A little. Mom said being scared is okay. She said brave people are just scared people who do it anyway. She was right. She was right about a lot of things. Isaiah leaned against his father's shoulder. She said you'd sail again. She said you'd remember who you are. Marcus pulled his son close. I remember now. Good. Isaiah yawned. Because I want to tell Tommy at school that my dad is the best captain in the whole world. You might be a little biased. What's biased mean? It means you love me too much to be objective. Isaiah considered this. That's probably true. Marcus laughed, kissed the top of his son's head. Time for bed. Big day tomorrow. Can I watch you on TV? Mrs. Robinson will have it on. You can watch every second. Isaiah smiled. That gap-toothed grin that looked so much like Keisha. Make us proud, Dad. I will, buddy. I promise. Monaco was overwhelming. The heat hit Marcus like a wall the moment he stepped off the plane. The harbor glittered with yachts worth more than most neighborhoods. The buildings rose like monuments to wealth and power. Isaiah's eyes would have gone wide. But Isaiah was back in Chicago with Mrs. Robinson, watching on television, believing in his father from 3,000 miles away. Vanessa handled the logistics, suites for everyone, meetings with sponsors, press interviews that seemed to never end. Tom Morrison was there, steady, reliable, making sure the Aurora Majesty was ready for the demonstration. She's perfect, Tom said. Not a scratch, just like you need to be. No pressure. All the pressure, that's the point. The morning of the demonstration dawned clear and warm. Marcus woke at 4. Couldn't sleep anymore. The anticipation was too great. He went through his pre-voyage ritual. Stretches, breathing exercises, mental visualization of every maneuver, every turn, every moment. At 7, Vanessa knocked on his door. Breakfast. Can't eat. You need to eat something. I'll throw up. Then throw up, but eat first. He ate toast and eggs, simple, stayed down, barely. At 9, the team gathered in the briefing room. Tom ran through the final checklist. Commander Chen covered the demonstration plan. Vanessa handled the details. Demonstration begins at noon local time, she said. 20 minutes of harbor access. You'll have complete control. Weather is perfect. Clear skies, minimal wind, visibility unlimited. And the crowd? 30,000 expected, plus global broadcast to approximately 150 million viewers. Marcus's stomach turned. No pressure. All the pressure. That's why you trained. Vanessa met his eyes. You're ready. Am I? I've never been more sure of anything in my life. At 11:30, Marcus walked to the Aurora Majesty. The crew had prepared everything. The yacht gleamed. The engines hummed with potential energy. Admiral Sterling was in the VIP section, front row. Vanessa had made sure of it. Marcus climbed the stairs, paused at the bridge door, looked back. 30,000 people, cameras everywhere. The weight of expectation pressing down. And there on the giant screen showing the Chicago feed his son. Waving, smiling, believing. Marcus waved back, even though Isaiah couldn't see him, even though it was just a broadcast. Then he entered the bridge. The familiar embrace of the captain's chair. The instruments waiting. The wheel under his hands. Monaco Harbor. This is Aurora Majesty requesting clearance for demonstration. Aurora Majesty, you are cleared. The harbor is yours, Captain. Show them what you've got. Marcus taxied to the starting position. The yacht responded perfectly. Every system green, every gauge optimal. He reached the mark, stopped, breathed. You ready, Commander Devon's voice? Calm, confident. Ready as I'll ever be, Lieutenant. Then let's show them what we can do. Marcus pushed the throttle forward. The engines roared. The yacht accelerated. The harbor blurred. And Marcus Thompson sailed into history. The first maneuver was a high-speed approach. Marcus pushed the Aurora Majesty to 40 knots, heading straight for the harbor wall. The crowd gasped. Some screamed. At the last possible moment, he cut the engines, spun the wheel. The yacht pivoted on its axis, 360 degrees, perfect circle, stopped exactly where it started. The crowd exploded. Remarkable precision from Captain Thompson. The commentator's voice echoed. That maneuver requires timing measured in milliseconds. Marcus didn't hear. He was somewhere else. In the zone. In the flow. The next sequence was a series of figure-8 patterns, weaving between buoys at speeds that seemed impossible, each turn tighter than the last, each one pushing the yacht closer to its limits. 8 minutes in. The crowd was on their feet. Marcus executed a reverse approach, full speed backward, something most captains couldn't do at any speed. He threaded the needle between two marker boats with inches to spare. Beautiful. Derek's voice, pure admiration. Then came the precision docking sequence. Marcus brought the Aurora Majesty into a slip half the yacht's length too short. Impossible by any standard measurement. He didn't stop, didn't slow down. At the last second, he angled the yacht, slid it sideways. The hull kissed the dock with less than 3 inches of clearance on either side. The judge's jaws dropped. The crowd went silent with disbelief. Then erupted louder than before. 15 minutes in. Time for the finale. The Stirling Spiral. Admiral Stirling had designed it 40 years ago. A continuous ascending turn pattern that demonstrated complete vessel control. No one had attempted it in competition in decades. Too dangerous, too precise, too easy to fail. Marcus had practiced it 100 times in the simulator, nailed it every time. But simulator wasn't reality, and reality had a way of humbling the best intentions. "You sure about this?" Devon's voice. Not scared, just asking. "No," Marcus said out loud. "But I'm doing it anyway." "That's my captain." Marcus began the approach, full speed, heading toward the open water beyond the harbor mouth. Then he started the turn. The yacht curved inward, banking, accelerating, the spiral tightening with every second, the G-forces built. Marcus felt himself pressed into the chair. His vision narrowed slightly, tighter, faster. The spiral continued, the yacht carving a perfect corkscrew pattern through the water. The crowd held its breath. The commentator went silent. Even the judges stopped writing. Marcus felt the yacht approaching its limits, the edge of control, the point of no return. Now. He reversed the spiral, cut the engines, let momentum carry the yacht through the final rotation. The Aurora Majesty spun, slowed, stopped, exactly at the starting mark, facing exactly the direction it had started, not a degree off, not an inch out of place. Perfect. Silence. 1 second, 2, 3. Then the harbor exploded. 30,000 people screaming, cheering, chanting his name. Thompson, Thompson, Thompson. Marcus sat in the captain's chair, hands still on the wheel, breathing hard, alive. "Ladies and gentlemen," the commentator's voice cracked with emotion, "you have just witnessed maritime history. Captain Marcus Thompson has executed the Stirling Spiral for the first time in competitive demonstration in over 40 years. Absolutely magnificent." But Marcus wasn't listening to the commentator. He was listening to Devon. "Hell of a job, Commander. Hell of a job." "Thanks, Lieutenant," Marcus whispered. "Couldn't have done it without you. You did it without me. I was just along for the ride." Marcus smiled. First real smile in hours. "No, you were with me the whole time. The rest of the day was a blur. Press conferences, award ceremonies, handshakes with dignitaries from 30 countries. The Oceanic Industries CEO found Marcus in the crowd. "Captain Thompson, that was the most impressive demonstration I've ever witnessed." "Thank you, sir." "The contract we discussed. The training program for young sailors from underserved communities. It's confirmed. Full funding. Whatever you need." Marcus's throat tightened. "I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything. Just keep sailing like that. The world needs more people who refuse to give up." Admiral Stirling found him next. Eyes wet. "My father designed that spiral. I sailed it for 20 years. And I have never seen it done better. I had a good teacher. You had talent, that's different." William gripped his shoulder. "I was wrong about a lot of things in my life, but I wasn't wrong about you." "Thank you, sir." William, after today you've earned the right. That night there was a gala. Marcus wore a suit that Vanessa had arranged, black, tailored. He barely recognized himself in the mirror. She met him in the lobby. Blue dress. Simple. Elegant. She took his breath away. You clean up nice, Captain. So do you. They walked into the gala together. 1,000 eyes turned. Whispers followed. That's him. The deckhand who became a captain. Sailed the Sterling spiral like it was nothing. Vanessa Sterling's been spending a lot of time with him. Marcus ignored it all, focused on the woman beside him. Dance with me, she said. I don't dance. Tonight you do. They moved to the floor. A slow song played. Marcus held her close. I can't believe today happened, he said. Believe it. You made it happen. We made it happen. You gave me the chance. You took the chance. That's different. Vanessa looked up at him. Marcus, I need to tell you something. What? When I made that joke, the day we met, about marrying you if you captained the yacht. She paused. I was being cruel. I know that. I've apologized for it. You have. But here's the thing. Her voice dropped. I'm not sure it's a joke anymore. Marcus stopped moving. What are you saying? I'm saying that somewhere along the way I fell in love with you. With your courage, your integrity, the way you look at your son like he's the whole world. Her voice trembled. I'm saying that I don't want this to end when we go back to Chicago. Vanessa, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. Marcus looked at this woman. This impossible, beautiful, terrifying woman who had changed everything. I fell in love with my wife the first time I saw her, he said slowly. Across a crowded room at a college party. She was laughing at something someone said, and I thought, that's her. That's the one. Marcus, let me finish. He took a breath. When she died, I thought I'd never feel that way again. Thought that part of me was gone forever. Buried with her. Vanessa's eyes were wet. But then I met you, and it wasn't the same. It was different, slower, harder. Like learning to walk after you've forgotten how. He pulled her closer. And now I look at you, and I see possibility. I see a future I didn't think I could have. I see someone who believed in me when I was invisible. I see someone I want to spend a lot more time with. Is that a yes? It's a yes. A definite, absolute, no more maybes yes. Vanessa smiled, tears streaming down her face, but smiling. I can work with yes. Good, because yes is all I have right now. Then I'll take it. They danced. The song ended. Another began. They kept dancing. At some point, Admiral Sterling appeared at the edge of the floor, watching. When he caught Marcus's eye, he nodded once. Approval, acceptance, blessing. Marcus nodded back. The night wound down. The guests departed. The gala ended. Marcus and Vanessa walked through the empty corridors, hand in hand, quiet. What happens now? Marcus asked. Now we go home. You keep sailing. I keep running the company. We figure out the rest as we go. That simple? Nothing about this is simple. Vanessa smiled. But that's what makes it worth it. They reached the exit. The Monaco night was warm. Stars scattered across the Mediterranean sky. Marcus looked up. Somewhere among those stars, Keisha was watching. He was sure of it. And Devon, too. Both of them proud, both of them at peace. Thank you, he said. Not to Vanessa, to them. To everyone who had brought him to this moment. For what? Vanessa asked. For everything. For believing. For not giving up on me. I'll never give up on you, Marcus. That's a promise. He looked at her. This woman who had offered him a cruel joke and ended up offering him a new life. I believe you. They walked into the night together, 1 year later, Marcus stood on the bridge of the Aurora Majesty. The Sterling Maritime Youth Sailing Program had grown beyond anything he had imagined. 300 kids from underserved communities across America, learning to sail, learning to dream, learning that their past didn't have to define their future. Deshawn, a kid from Chicago's South Side, who had joined the first class, was home from the Naval Academy for the summer. Working as a junior instructor, teaching kids the same lessons Marcus had taught him. Isaiah, now 8, ran across the deck, chasing a paper boat he had made. Vanessa was in her office below, running the company that had changed both their lives. But she would be up soon. She always came up for departure, and Marcus was preparing for his afternoon charter. Routine, simple, perfect. Tom Morrison appeared beside him. Beautiful day for sailing. Every day is a beautiful day for sailing. Getting philosophical in your old age. Maybe, Marcus smiled. Or maybe I just finally understand what I've got. And what's that? Marcus looked around. At the yacht. At the students on the dock. At his son. At the life he had built from nothing. Everything. I've got everything. You earned it. We all did. Together. The pre-departure checklist was complete. Marcus climbed into the captain's chair. The familiar embrace of the leather, the instruments waiting, the wheel under his hands. He started the engines, contacted the harbor. Chicago Marina Aurora Majesty requesting clearance for departure. Aurora Majesty, you are cleared. Safe travels. Captain Thompson. Marcus taxied toward the harbor mouth. Ready for another one. Commander Devon's voice. Still there. Still present. Not a ghost anymore. A friend. Always ready, Lieutenant. Let's sail. He pushed the throttle forward. The yacht accelerated. The bow lifted. The harbor fell away behind him. And Marcus Thompson rose onto the water. Not running from anything. Not chasing anything. Just sailing. Free and whole and finally completely home. Because that's what brave people do. They fall. They break. They lose everything. And then they get back up, they sail again, and they never ever stop.